We are live. Welcome to the Money GPS Live. Thank you for being here today with me. We are going to get going. I'll set everything up here. We got lots of people in the house. I already see a super chat. I will get to that in just 1 second. Let me set this up. All right. All right. If I can get, why isn't it coming up? All right, we'll get to this super chat right away. Usually we don't get them immediately. I'll just answer it so that I don't fall behind on that. Hello to Instagram. Welcome, welcome. We're answering a question here on YouTube. So when the Fed buys $100 billion assets every day, is that like more than the infrastructure bill after 10 days, or am I misunderstanding the Fed purchases? So like we can look at that directly. I think I have the exact link. If you give me 1 second here, I have this. Yes. Okay. I will share my screen immediately and I will show you exactly what's happening. So the Federal Reserve is tapering, despite many people suggesting that they will not do this. They are tapering their purchases. They're not tapering their balance sheet at this time. But I wanted to make that very clear because a lot of people had said they will not taper. Tapering will not happen. And it is scheduled to happen as of this coming week. Share screen. And then I'll show you, I think it's here. There we go. All right. So there we go. Hello, Instagram. So you can see this right here. Instagram, just hang on. I'm just showing on the screen, but it'll just be momentarily. So you can see from November 15th to December 13th, the desk, that's the New York Fed. This is where all the operations are conducted at the desk. That's what they call it. Plans to purchase approximately $70 billion over the monthly period during this time frame. And then the expectation here is that, as you can see, from their previous, I don't think it's here, actually, on their previous mentions that they would then do it, a reduction of 10 billion, or another 15 billion, excuse me. So we're going to go down. Okay, whether it's going to be, we'll see. Actually, we don't know. But the suggestion was that they would then reduce again in December, and then we'd hear what they have to say at their meeting for the following months. So we know that that is the case. Okay, so these are the operations that they're doing now. What exactly are they buying? Well, if I would have known this question was coming up, I would have the exact link. Give me one moment here. Oh, I had it. I'm not going to be able to find it. We'll get the schedule in here. Yeah, okay. So you can see this. I hope you can see this on the screen. You can see the purchases that are being done and essentially the purchase size and what will happen on every single day. So that's what's going to happen, whether it's Treasury, you can see Treasury coupons, tips, okay? It just goes through and through. Okay, that is what they're buying. And then you could look at, the maturity range as you see it here. Okay, so maybe it's medium term, maybe it's longer term. You can see this right here, up to 2051. Depends. All depends. So they're buying this debt, whether they're buying the mortgage-backed securities, whether they're buying the treasuries, they are buying this over a period of time. So the government is essentially issuing this debt, and the Federal Reserve comes in and buys it up. As far as I'm concerned, it's a scam. Okay, this shouldn't be allowed to happen. There should be only real buyers allowed, but that's a whole different story. And so they're doing this, and this manipulates interest rates. At the desk, as I mentioned a moment ago, is doing what they call open market operations, going into the market purposely to affect the Fed funds rate. And so if I go back to what you were saying here, they're not buying that on a daily basis. This 100 billion, what they're doing right now is $80 billion a month. They're buying $80 billion a month worth. Okay. They've done at the peak, they were at maybe $150 billion a day. That was happening. But not anymore that we know of. Anyway, this is all, but if you're talking about the reverse repo operations, totally different story. That's something I've covered extensively. But it's not exactly the same, because it's all about the way that the primary dealers, Morgan Stanley and JP Morgan and all these companies, working with the Federal Reserve, working with the Treasury, all together, and sort of, I don't have a simple explanation for it, but I'm just saying, it's a totally different thing. You can let me know specifically, but essentially, the amount of money that's being pumped into the system has been reduced from where it was before. I hope that answers your question there. All right. I think I see a few. Hello, everybody in the house. I see all your comments here. The Creature from Jekyll Island. Yes, really essential reading. The Creature from Jekyll Island. Some of which are right here. Stay tuned for that. Got some cool stuff coming on the show. Thank you very much for your support. Any trustworthy YouTubers you recommend for silver commentary? So many are biased as to not offend the fanboys. Yeah. So the early on, I started listening to David Morgan. I read David Morgan's book on silver, and I spoke with him on the phone a couple times. Seemed like from what my limited interaction with him, he seemed like a good guy. He seemed to really understand what he was talking about for his aspects, and just seemed like a stand-up character. I don't know, about now or anything else. Just in my limited interaction with him, he seemed to be the go-to guy. Now, I haven't seen anything from him in a long time, so I don't know if he has any new updates or anything, but certainly that's what I would say. When I think silver, I think David Morgan. Emma, thank you for the support. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you for that. Much appreciated. I want to thank everybody for being here today. All your support, all of those thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. And, just the comments on the channel and everything. I love hearing from people all over the world. Good evening. Hello, hello. From the Bahamas, Lester. Awesome. Good stuff. I just made £8 on Shiba Coin. Leaving for the Bahamas tomorrow. All right. I see comments between each other. I love seeing that, because the community is forming. David, do you think Evergrande go bankrupt at the end? I've been covering it. Obviously, you've been seeing the videos. I've been covering this. It just seems like they're probably going to keep it going for now. What happens next year? Not so sure. They have to keep everything going for the time being, because that is so integral. The real estate market is so integral to their entire system that they've got. Like, everything is revolving around real estate. And if that starts to fail, you start to have big problems. Now, just because one company fails doesn't mean you have a problem. You could always fix it, and pieces can be purchased from different companies, healthier companies, and so on. But it's the domino effect. It's the contagion effect. We've already seen that. Oh, it's just Evergrande, is just one company. And then, it's, I can't even remember all the names. Fantasia was one of them. There was a list. I covered so many in my videos. So, you see that one at a time, and that can't be stopped. You can't stop contagion like that. You can't stop dominoes, okay? Because the dominoes get too big. Some individuals also are suggesting that this is all contrived, creating a crisis intentionally. Never let a crisis go to waste. Hard to know exactly, but it's so difficult. to know, because the information that we have is really, really limited, particularly in China, where you're getting data, but you're not 100% sure of whether that's. I mean, it's already difficult to know what's going on inside of the U.S. and so on, and then you look at China. I mean, it's even more difficult. So, yeah, it's really. I'm at a loss for words. I don't know. Is the truth. Had to buy a burger from Flippy. Flippy the robot did that video. Hope everybody saw that one. The robots are coming. The robots are coming. Saw a super chat in here. Steve, thank you for the support. This is for getting rid of the brick wall. Okay, and a new background's coming too. This is just a piece. This is just a little. Let me move over. This is just a little bit of what's coming. Okay, so stay tuned for that. People on Instagram can't see that, but you will see it in the YouTube videos. Hello, everybody. All right. Yeah, you're going to see some really cool stuff I got planned. I was talking with the guy who does the 3D modeling, and he's working on it now, finishing it up. I had a Zoom call, and we went over all the little details. It is amazing. Cheers. Hello from Auckland, New Zealand, where the eye-watering mortgages live. Yes, I have seen the data, and it is just insane. Okay, so do you think Bitcoin is a good hedge against market turbulences? If there's a crash, for instance. Well, what happened during 2020? Didn't do well. Came up after, certainly, but it didn't do well. Risk assets were sold off. And in general, risk assets do not do well when you have that situation. If you have a recession, if you have a crash, risk assets generally wouldn't do well. However, there's been a lot of talk about Bitcoin as a hedge against inflation, Bitcoin being the new gold. There's just a lot of talk about it. And institutional investors are getting on that. Institutional investors hate with a passion gold. This is the absolute last thing. We have nothing else, we'll get gold and paper gold, that is. So it's like the last resort kind of thing. But Bitcoin, they seem to be intrigued by Bitcoin, which is strange. But anyway, because it's like Bitcoin was created to be like the anti-financial company, and yet the financial companies are buying it. It's a paradox, I guess. But anyway, so we don't know. That's my whole point, is that we've never lived through a real recessionary period where things come down, and 2020 was kind of a weird historically, obviously. So we don't know. We don't have the history. I just think that people likely, you got, let's say, a rich person, he's got $1 billion in Bitcoin, and he's got several billion. Let's say he's got 10 billion. 1 billion is in Bitcoin, 9 billion is in stocks. Okay, let's just say a hypothetical example. What do you think he's going to do? Do you think he's going to get rid of his Apple stock and Amazon stock first, or he's going to get rid of his Bitcoin? These people aren't big believers in it. They're riding the wave. The big believers will hang on. No question. But the others, I'm not so sure. But we don't know. Thank you for the support, Ian. Yeoman, you should make a Discord channel. How can we connect to discuss that? Yes. What's happening is intentional firing frontline workers. Yeah. I've heard about that. Look at my screen is going all wacky. You see this? I'll answer the question, then I'll try to fix my screen. So Discord, I don't know exactly what it is. I think I have to be located on the Discord to be talking about it. I can't manage anything else, to be honest with you. I'm at the absolute maximum. in terms of like right now I got Instagram running over here. I got Facebook, Twitter, YouTube running over here. I post all my videos. They go to Odyssey automatically. I can't do BitChute, can't do Rumble because the automatic thing doesn't work. And the support said, basically, you're on your own. We can't help you. And then I also have them going to all of the Spotify's and Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, everything else. That is the maximum I can do. I physically cannot do any more. I can't be present on any other platform. It's just too much. The amount that I'm doing, the amount of places I'm pushing this stuff out. If it was a bigger channel and I had like employees and stuff, then certainly I could, because I can, okay, you do that, and I'll do this. Just unfortunately just not happening. So yeah. If it's something that people can kind of go in like a chat room and just discuss on their own, then obviously that would be great. But I couldn't manage anything to do with it. Greetings and salutations. Thank you. Thank you. So, oh, thank you, Ian. Suggesting I try to help you across the board. Yeah, you can, if you want to email me, please do. Anybody's welcome to email me. The easiest way to do that is to just join the insiders. And I got the banner right up here. Might as well. Insiders, you go to my GPS, sign up to the insiders. You can sign up if you want. You just reply to the email. So there'll be an email that comes to you, and you just reply to that email, and that's me. I will reply to that. Nobody else is replying to my emails. All right. I gotta fix this. Yeah, and I have a bunch of stuff I want to talk about with stocks. Okay, guys. So everybody tuning in right now, I just want to fix my screen, my camera, I should say. I gotta get a new camera. Black Friday, I'm looking for a new camera. I'm reinvesting the money this money that I got, like for this business. It's not much, but I certainly look at this. Eh? What if I just disappear? Look at that. Whoa. It's not much, but if I can, well, if I can reinvest it and make the channel better, that's what I do. I got a Yeti microphone here. I got my good computer here to run. No, this thing is still screwing up. Anyway, it doesn't matter. We can suffer through it. I hope I'm coming through clear anyway. All right. You may have to convert to a robot, Dave. Yes, a cyborg. Who wants the truth? All right, all right, all right, all right. After these questions, I'm going to show you. I got a bunch of stuff written down. We will talk about that. Okay, guys? All right. You ghosted. Just disappear into the background. And by the way, I don't know if anybody else has this shirt. You can see how faded out it is. Freedom. Freedom. That's what we should all be fighting for. We should all be fighting for freedom. This is the shirt. That was the first shirt I made for my channel. And you can see how faded out it is. Worn it 1,000 times. Still perfect condition, by the way, except the writing. I love this, actually. It's very comfortable. Thoughts on Apple? Yeah. Hey, here we go. Apple. Apple is a great company. There's no doubt about it. They have some challenges ahead of themselves. There's no doubt about that. But biggest company, one of the biggest companies in the world, and whether it's the biggest company in the world or in the top 5, it's a strong company. Strong company. Global reach and so on. Yeah, in terms of pharmaceuticals, some people are okay with that, the purchasing of the pharmaceutical companies. That was probably the easiest play ever in history from 2020. You heard them talking about it. Oh, we're going to do this thing. We're going to create this thing that I'm not allowed to talk about, or else it will trigger the algorithms. We're going to create these things. It's going to happen. We're going to get it as fast as we possibly can. And then we're going to push out billions and billions of them. So what does that mean? It means you buy the top 3 or 5 companies, and three, a few of those work, and you win massively. Just the morality of it for some people anyway would be impossible to own one of those. So, but that seemed like one of the easiest plays ever. Do you think the market is going to have a big correction? Yeah, at some point, not yet though. I don't think a big correction is due yet, but there's always, like, for example, last week, if you remember, last week, I was doing these videos. I can't remember if it was the Saturday or the Sunday. I said, hey, look at the market. It needs to take a breather. And then what happened? A few days of down, a few days of red. Very clear. It was very obvious. I don't necessarily think that that's going to result in, a big crash already on Friday. Overall, the markets, I'm looking at them on my screen, but overall the markets came up on the Friday, and they didn't necessarily. Let me look at this. They haven't completed their down move yet, so they were really, really overbought, and still technically are. But we'll see. It's hard to determine at this very moment. But there's a lot of upward momentum. The taper comes into effect this week. The taper, like I said, like I've been talking about for a while, yes, they're going to start tapering into purchases, but don't think that as soon as that day comes that the market is just going to go haywire. No, but we're going to see weakness. It's going to be much weaker. Look, we've pulled all of the earnings and all the growth from the next 150 years into the present. And you can't do that forever. Eventually, you need companies that can produce stuff. So it's just the way it is. Freedom. Zillow, they didn't do good with their purchasing of homes. I can tell you that much. So I don't like that. Okay, the billions and billions and billions. We're going to talk about this in a second here. If people are wondering, I got a bunch of stuff written down. Oops, what's happening here? There we go. Okay, if you guys are ready for that, let me I'm just trying to get to the questions. What is better to buy, coins or bars for metals? In my opinion, you should have a mix. That's just my opinion. And why? Simply ignorance. We don't know what's going to fare the best. We don't know what people are going to want at the time. If you want to sell it, you don't know. You don't know. You could say, well, in 1980, this is what happened. We don't know. And so having diversity within an asset class is very intelligent. The more diverse, the better. It doesn't mean you're going to perform the best. It means you have the best chance of doing well, or not losing money, or having sound and steady progress, whatever your desire is with that particular asset. It all depends. What challenges does Apple have ahead of themselves? So they have a stronghold in the market, but many people are not upgrading every year like they used to. It was a thing, let's do upgrade, but now they say peak cell phone. If you look at the iPhone 13 compared to iPhone 12, it's almost identical. The feature that they added in the 13, one of the features, the main feature was basically just a software upgrade, but they've just held back on the existing from the previous phone. Their hardware is in the phones kind of peaking out. They can't get people to upgrade every year. They're trying to give all these different incentives for people to do so. At the same time, what they're dealing with Epic Games and their lawsuit there, it could really spill out into something bigger, because that's not over with yet. So they may be losing a lot of revenue on that, even though they've told everybody don't worry about it. So that all depends. But like I said, if it's not the number one company or number two, if it's number five or whatever, some other companies kind of gain steam and doesn't have that growth there, it's still doing well. I mean, there's no doubt about it. No doubt. I did a swing trade in Walmart and Amazon. It was a good call. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, quite frankly, I'm never going to get to the bottom of this chat, so I'm just going to tell you what I wrote down here, okay? Good stuff. All right. Quick refill. Cheers. All right, here we go. Elon Musk sold $6.9 billion of Tesla stock in just a few days. His goal being, 10% of the stock. So that's going to keep going. I didn't think it was going to be this fast. I thought he would sell, a billion here, a billion there, and over a period of time. But he wants that money right away. AMC CEO selling big stock. Tim Cook, he received $300 million in stock and then sold the next day. That's for his compensation. And I get it. I get that that's the way they get paid. A lot of these guys, their salaries are, I don't want to say, some of them actually don't have a salary, or like a $1 salary, but then they get the options or the stock as compensation. That's really their earnings. I get it. But you receive 300 million and then you sell it immediately. What does that tell you? I don't think that this stock is going to go up in value. I would rather put it in something else. I don't know what he bought. 300 million. I mean, what are you buying here? I mean, a massive mansion, the cars, like 300 million, that's invested. I'm sure he's doing something else with that money. So he thinks putting his money into another business is more beneficial than Apple stock. And that's kind of the way I looked at it, right? Who knows what it is? It's a personal decision to do that. Excuse me. Anyway, there's a big long list of them I have covered. If you haven't seen it already, I tell you exactly how to find the insiders that are selling off. Go to my main channel, go to the e-course. So if you go to my channel and scroll down the playlists and you look for the e-course, and there's one video that says like how to find out when insiders are selling, something like this. And you will find that. I describe exactly how to do it, the websites to go, and so on. Who's buying? Okay, they're selling. Somebody has to be a buyer. There's a buyer and a seller on all the transactions. Retail investors are buying more than ever before. So as the stock buybacks are happening, you've got insiders selling off their shares, but the retail is coming to scoop that up, and it's still moving up. Stock buybacks fueled by cheap debt allow this to persist. And I think people need to get their heads wrapped around this. You've got Federal Reserve, 0% interest rates. These companies are able to borrow at next to nothing. Not you. You borrow at 17% on your credit card. These companies have their own credit limit, credit lines, essentially. You think of it like a credit card in a sense. They're borrowing cash, and they're doing this and literally buying back their own shares, pushing the price up. Who wins when they push the price up? Who really wins? It's the insiders, because they're getting the compensation and they could sell off at those different levels. If the stock hits $100 a share, this guy gets to sell. If it goes to $200 a share, this guy gets to sell this much. And it's all understood. It's already determined beforehand. Okay. So these insiders are the ones that are making the deals. Now, that's not a bad thing. That's just the way it is. That's the way it is. But what's going on? What is this all? I question what's happening here. I question if this is necessarily the most optimal situation for everybody, because cheap debt is always going to have a negative impact long term, because the risk that's associated with that, quite frankly, is going to be painful over the long term. We've seen that. We've seen what risk taking does. So that's my little rant. See what we got here in the comments. There's about 4,000 comments I have to get to here. Let's see what we got. Just reading all your comments, guys. Let's see what we got here. I'd listen to GPS any day over sports. Thank you. Thank you. Sports. I know some people love their sports. They can tell you every player and every team and everything. And that skill could be the same thing, could be applied to the stock market, and it could be much more beneficial for your pocket. I'm telling you. All right. Just reading all your comments here. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. And to try to make them stand out, put like question or money GPS or something so I know. Yeah, 3D printing during the supply chain shortages. They're using in the one that I described in the video that I posted this morning, I think it was, or last night. They're using lavacrete. So, but they're trying to use new types of materials as well. And this is something that I do see it growing. Everything is in shortage right now. Everything has supply chain problems. Um, but I do think that, hey, if it could be made with less stuff and they could secure that lavacrete substance, no problem, maybe they're going to go towards that. An entire community being built in Texas right now. I want to see how that community works out to be able to determine what's going to happen down the road. For the company that I did the interview with, Alquist, they were basically doing it as kind of more so, not necessarily, hey, let's build a community here and let's sell these to investors or whatever. It's more of, we need emergency housing for people. A hurricane comes through. We need to build these homes. We can get this up relatively fast because you don't rebuild things overnight. It takes a long time. So they can then build structures for people to live in. I think it's a really nice thing if it works. I want to see. Right. I love the idea of 3D printing. Yeah. I love all kinds of 3D printing, actually. Whether or not it's going to work, we'll see. There's even a website, I forget the name of it right now, where people give away the diagrams to the 3D printing, small scale, of course. And if you have your own 3D printer at home, they're giving you all of those diagrams. You import that into your application, hit a button, and now you're printing stuff at home. And I think for self-sufficiency, this is not something that a lot of people talk about, but I think as we get better materials in these 3D printers and as they find the way, like there's even the one that's on a sort of conveyor belt, so they can make long, like it's relatively small, but it works on a conveyor belt, so it prints as it moves along the conveyor belt and can obviously print much larger things. I just think of what are the applications that a 3D printer can provide to an individual where I don't need to worry about the supply chain for these type of products because I can make them in my house. I mean, that's crazy to even think about. You need the raw materials, of course, if you can secure the raw materials, but then you're not worried about the factory for these little things that might be small, but it might be important things. Okay. I don't remember the name of the website if anybody knows it, but regardless, we're still early in the 3D printing technology, I believe, but I think it's taking off. Dave, what was your number one? Dude, what do you mean number one? If you let me know what I mean number one, unless I'm missing something above that. There's so many comments, guys. We got a lot of people in the house today. Hey, Dave, question: which large company do you think will be the sacrificial lamb this time around? I don't know. That's a good question. I mean, one of the weakest companies right now is Evergrande. There's no question about it. It's just really, really weak. whether or not China's going to let that fail, or whether they're just going to have to bite the bullet and just nationalize it or what have you. I don't know. Um, Previously, I was thinking the European banks were just going to die, and they probably already have in a sense, but that didn't fail the way that it looked like it was likely to happen, because 2011, 2012 Euro sovereign debt crisis, or as I call it, the Euro viral contagion, didn't take down the system entirely. They just wrapped up their debt in these different garbage products and then just waiting. It's like a time bomb. It's like a stick of dynamite, or like a landmine. You're sitting on the landmine, hasn't gone off. And then people are saying, well, look at me, hasn't gone off. I'm sitting right on a landmine, hasn't gone off. Everything's good. But eventually, doesn't end well. Money GPS, does it not seem ominous that Musk is actively selling? Yes, 100%, right at the absolute peak. Like literally it hit its peak. And then he comes up with a Twitter poll and says, I think we should sell because of the unrealized capital gains and so on, even though he had already determined that he would want to sell before. That was in the Form 4. That was already in the Form 4. Will Tesla be the sacrificial lamb? I don't know. There's a lot of attention behind it, but at the same time, anything that goes up in a straight line usually comes down like that as well. So it's worrisome. Lavacrete is what they theorized the pyramids were made from. Interesting. Do you think our system is fragile enough that we break into separate states caused by issues like separatism, tax increases, domestic policy? If so, I'd find another countries to move to. It's so difficult because even the suggestion of it is like crazy. But I personally think it would be actually beneficial. The more separation in that regard, the better. And I would love to see more power given to the states versus the federal government. Why? If you don't like the policies of California, you move across state lines and you say, you know what? I'm good here. Rules are different here. But as soon as they break down those borders and start enacting the same laws everywhere, you don't have many options. And so the more separation there is, the better. So a lot of people would say, hey, let California go. Let California go. But at the same time, California, you think it's GDP of California, it would be something like the 5th biggest country in the world if it was its own country. So there's reasons why the countries work together. Okay, California has a lot of stuff. It's got a lot of taxes, that's for sure. But it has many different industries. It has agriculture. It has everyone's favorite Hollywood. It has the tech sector. It's got crazy, ridiculous real estate. All kinds of things. Tourism. It's got the busiest port in the world, one of them. And so all of these things add up. And so it looks beneficial for California in that sense. You let California go, yeah, you're going to lose that GDP, but you still do trade with each other. You still have, you can go to and from. I mean, it's not so like you're like when they said the UK is going to do the Brexit. They're leaving Europe. That's what they said. They're leaving Europe, as if the island is just going to start shifting towards Greenland and just bang into it. Like it's weird. Anyway, but I would just say that for most people, I don't know. I just don't have a problem with it. That's all. If you look at a country like Canada, where everything is the same everywhere, no, you don't have that same sense of, the way the US looks at it. It's basically the same. You look across the board and it's pretty much the same. You get small towns, you get big cities. Those are different. But straight across the board, it's kind of the same. You want that. You want those options. You want to say, you know what? If I don't like the rules here, well, I can move here. But if it's kind of just broadly the same rules everywhere, it's not so fun. And I use that word lightly. Ooh, a few 3D files for that, eh? Okay. Isn't every printer a 3D printer? No, no. I don't know if you're referencing something. It's different. I own a filament 3D printer. Interesting. There's all kinds of different ones. Thingiverse, Cults 3D, and My Mini Factory. Good stuff. Thank you for those resources there. For anybody, I'll leave that up on screen just for a second. Yeah, I don't remember the one that I've seen before, but I think that's going to be part of people's preparedness. That's just me. Dave, what is your number one tip to prepare for the inflation? Okay, thank you for that. So number one tip for inflation. Number one, that's difficult. Number one, the easiest thing, I think personally, this most simple and obvious thing. If you've got a little bit of space in your house, look at what you eat. Do you eat rice? Do you eat pasta? Do you eat beans? Do you eat lentils? Just buy more. Store them in a way that will preserve them. Okay, do it right. And just buy them now. Like if you're going to eat that over the next 6 months, just buy your 6 month supply today. It's safe for you to do so. And also you're preserving the price by buying today. You're getting in that price. So I think that's the easiest thing. If you want to take it a step further, like what investments and so on, you can always look at it through different lens. Some people say, hey, I got to get gold because gold historically has been the number one hedge against inflation. And that has been true. We have seen it not behaving so well considering how much damage they have done to the currency and the financial system in general. You would expect gold to be higher, but I have always argued that you don't see the rise in gold until everything fails. When all else fails, then they turn to gold. Okay, that's the line that I say. But gold in a portfolio should be a piece of the portfolio. It shouldn't be the portfolio. That's just the way I think of it. If you're sitting on 100% gold or 100% gold and silver, and I'm assuming you want to sell at the peak, that to me is a big risk. You don't know what's going to happen. And the price of gold, just like during the financial crisis, the price of gold can go down significantly before rising. So are you going to get scared off and start to sell? I think personally, we should be looking at it the way Robert Kiyosaki has talked about it in his book, Fake. Great book, by the way. And essentially just saying, saving in gold. Saving in gold. What would you do with your savings? You wouldn't spend them. You wouldn't sell them. You would save for a long period of time. So those are probably the easiest things that I think of when you look at certain stocks like commodities. I talk about commodities all the time. Commodities at this time, whether it's because of supply chain, whether it's because of inflation, commodities are looking like they're doing well. But you've always got the ups and downs, the ebbs and flows of the market because of all the speculation behind it. So we don't know what's going to happen in the short term, but certainly commodities can rise in an inflationary environment. So you can buy kind of a broad ETF of commodities if you just want to sort of swing with that, but it's got to be part of a portfolio. I don't give financial advice, but I'm just trying to highlight what people do, what investors do. Hope that answers your question. I'm contemplating methods for self-sufficient filaments for 3D printing. I think it's a huge market for it, and we're just seeing the direct use in cases post. Yes. If there's a way, I mean, entrepreneurs are going to make that happen. And certainly, I just think like people are getting generators, people are getting, wood, people are getting like all these different preparedness items. And we got to I love that, but we also have to shift our thinking just a little bit. And hey, if the supply chain is suddenly going to go down, well, what could I make on my own that I can provide for myself, but also maybe I could be making stuff to sell because that farmer over there has something I want and I could give him what he needs and so on, just things like that. All right, let's see what we got here. Get your popcorn, he says. All right, let's go, 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 go. Elon bought Dogecoin. He did, he did. Thumbs up, yes, please do. Press the like button. California has lost its Golden State name. It's trashed so much. Homelessness, taxes, homeless problems, and the gas prices so exaggerated. How to get to this point? I completely agree with that from an outsider perspective. Anyway, big issues, and that's why you don't like what's happening in California. You can still move across the border. Many people have moved from California. They moved to Florida, and why? Because they don't like the restrictions. They don't like the problems that they've been dealing with. Maybe they're paying ridiculous amount of taxes, and they say, "I've had enough." They've got sunny weather in California. I can get sunny weather in Florida. I'm gone. Depending on their work circumstances, business circumstances, so on. It all depends. Okay. But I do agree. You got to increase prosperity. You can't just look at things short term as a government. You have to increase the prosperity of your people and it will grow. It will become safer. Just a matter of fact. Oh my goodness, there's so many comments. Susan, thank you again for the support. Working too, David. Have to catch up. Thank you for all your hard work. I appreciate that, Susan. Thank you for popping in. Yeah, definitely check out the videos. If you can't catch the live again on the replay, just check the videos of the day. I really got into some interesting stuff in the last 2 videos I posted last night and this morning. Thank you. Thanks for the information. Appreciate you watching. Gold, not paper certificates. Yeah. No, when I talk about gold, I'm absolutely not talking about any paper. That doesn't mean you can't buy GLD or whatever for a swing trade. You want to own it for a week. Yeah, don't buy the physical if you're going to own it for a week. If you want to own a long-term physical metals, 100%. 100%. All right, let's see. I have 2 business plans that I have no clue how to fund, being a homemaker. Okay, well, those business plans, I don't know what those business plans are. Let me think about that. Do you need outside capital for those businesses? Is that essential, or can you start with nothing? Can you start with simply sweat equity? Like a lot of people, I think, when they're going into a business, they say, okay, I'm starting let's just say YouTube channel. It's very obviously relevant. I need a good camera. I need a good computer. I need a green screen. I need all that. I didn't have anything. I used a cheap little webcam. I had no background or anything. And I just did it. I was not good. Okay. As you probably know, if you watch my early videos, and I'm still not particularly good at what I do, but I just keep going every day, and slowly I'm getting a little bit better. Okay, then get a little bit of funding. All right, good stuff. Get a better computer. Good. Get a better microphone here. Get a better camera. Get the green screen over the years, slowly, and then you make that happen. Okay, so slowly but surely. People at the beginning, whatever your business plan is, whatever your business is, people are going to be naysayers. They're going to tell you don't do it. They're going to tell you the crabs in a bucket. They pull you down, but you just do it anyway. You do it on the cheap. You do it. Maybe it's not the ideal situation, but you just do it. Do what you can. Do what you can. If there's funding required, I mean, there's always different alternatives that you can have. You can simply take on a partner. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Take on a partner and just look, you'll say, I got the whole business plan. Here it is. This is what I want to do. You're a silent partner. This is what your cut is going to be. And these are all the terms. You just lay them all out and do not do 50-50. Okay. Don't do 50-50. Never do 50-50. It's, if you want to make it close, you do 51-49, but make sure that one person is the one in control. Don't do 50-50. The 50-50 could work. I'm not saying it's not going to work, but in that situation, you don't want 50-50. If you're going to be doing all the work, you don't want to say, hey, I'm doing all the work, because you might not like that if you're working 16-hour days and the other guy's just collecting the paycheck. Hope that answers your question. Thank you. Why would you think that so many things have gone wrong all at the same time? There's always new things happening. And I think personally, I think we're building up to something really, really, really big. I think that's what happens every so often. There's some major event. I have no idea what that's going to be. Some people talk about weather problems. Some people talk about an escalation between two countries. I don't know. I don't know what it can be, but it seems like, oh, this just, I think it's going to be bad, but that's just me. I do appreciate David for the graded English class every weekend. I do learn a lot of financial terms. Thank you, Emma. I try I'm not the best person to teach English, that's for sure, because I don't use all the proper grammar and everything, but I hope it helps in some way. Cheers. Jim Cramer is calling for buying the dip. It hasn't even occurred. What's up with the title just came on. Yeah, of course, Jim Cramer, buy the dip, buy the dip, buy the dip. Even when there hasn't been a dip in 50 days, he would say that. So basically just saying that you got all these insiders like Elon Musk and Tim Cook and AMC guy, and just a long list of them. They're selling. Who's buying? It's the retail investors that are buying. This just shows you that they believe their money is kept somewhere else rather than in their particular stock. If they thought that stock was going to go much higher, they would just obviously keep it in, most likely, depending on their personal circumstances. So I just think that ultimately we are getting real hot in the markets. Doesn't mean it can't go up, but we are pulling a lot of growth from the future into the present. And that type of thing doesn't end well. All of the central banking activity has really propped up the system. We know that globally, on a global scale, interest rates are increasing and we are printing less money. Okay, we're printing less money globally. There's no doubt about that. The expansion of the balance sheets has slowed down. It hasn't stopped and it hasn't reversed. We've slowed down the amount that we are printing. And so that just shows you that, that gains from March 2020 into the, let's say, the present, different story than where we're at today. You take a few examples, like look at, I could show you some charts if you want to look at charts. Why not? Why not? Let's do it. Quick little chart action here. Okay, everybody? Let's see what we got. Share the screen. Right. I think we're on. Yes, we are. Okay. So this is just the S&P 500, Dow Jones, QQQ, NASDAQ, of course, and then the Russell. So all of these, you can see what has been happening over the last little while. The indicator I have at the top of the screen, that is the stochastic RSI, very important. And at the bottom is the RSI, just looking at how overbought or oversold we are statistically. Looking at that, I can just pull up any particular stock. This happens to be Evergrande, by the way. But I could pull something up. I don't usually even like to look at something like Tesla, because if you look at Tesla, which has obviously been in the news massively, and I said on the last video, it needs to take a breather, and look at what happened. Like, was I a genius because I said, hey, it needs to take a breather, and then it went down this week? No, I think everybody knew that. If you were here on the last video, you heard me say that, please let me know. Okay, look, weekly though didn't do well this week. It was the worst week Tesla had in quite a while. But you look at these conditions right now, oversold on the daily, the 4-hour, and this is the 148. All of these three, but still on the weekly. So over the last several weeks, it had been progressing so high. We are still overbought. So I think, investors might look at that and say, hey, buy the dip. Who knows? It did turn, where is it here? Yeah. I'm just trying to look at this. I just don't like these type of stocks in general for I don't want to call it investing. A lot of people are just speculating, but when you look at this, because it's this, Elon Musk passes gas and suddenly, no pun intended, and then if the stock goes down, 1,000 points or something, it just happens like that. But anyway, we can look at whatever stock you're interested in. I mean, I just don't like the hot stocks. I like boring stocks. I just think the boring stocks are much better. Let's look at, even though GLD, even though I wouldn't want to buy GLD, but overbought because it's come up quite a bit. You could see that, right? You could see that. Yeah. Again, overbought on the daily and smaller time frames. And you saw where gold was previously, just so ignored, even though despite all the inflation. You can look at anything on here. What about wood? I think this is the one. Wood is the ETF for lumber, essentially. And look at that rise. Can you see this? Unbelievable. From 63, peaking out at 97. I wonder if they have lumber. Shouldn't be doing this live on the... Yeah, you can see where it came down from its peak. My goodness. But anyway, if there's any particular stocks you want to look at, I can... Just reading your comments here. But anyway, this week should be an interesting one. I'm looking at the markets. I'm just trying to understand what's happening. It's in kind of a wait and see mode as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it necessarily looks super bearish, but it doesn't look that bullish either because we were so overbought previously. The move looks still like it's going to go to the downside, but it's actually giving mixed signals. So this is not a week that I would be like super bullish. Hey, buy all hands on whatever. But that's it. I'll stop sharing the screen. Did my screen die? My screen died again. What a funny... Do you guys see this? It's dead. Why is this happening? We're back on with this weird angle. How do you like that? Is that okay? We'll deal with that. Was I cutting out? Oh my goodness, there's so many comments I haven't got to. Frozen. Okay. Okay, I'm back on here. Where are we? There I am down here. Hello. So we got to deal with this angle. Hope you guys can deal with this angle for the remainder. I'll stay on for a little bit longer. We are 1 hour into the show. Let me get a drink and we'll do this. Water as always. How do you like my ceiling? All right. Can I put a little bit of a background? What if I do that? Doesn't matter. Oh. Instagram died. Perfect. 1 hour. Max is out at 1 hour on Instagram. All right. Try something here. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. If you could hear me, please give me 1 second. Just trying to see if I can wake up this camera, or else I'll just do it the other way. Sorry, 1 second. Okay. I'll go back to that other camera. No worries. Okay, we're back. Let's do it like this then. Good stuff. Okay. All right. There we go. Somebody was asking about Bitcoin, wondering, who created it and so on. I just pulled up. Here we go. Bitcoin creator Satoshi Nakamoto could be unmasked at Florida trial. I might as well just share my screen on that one. Why not? Let's do it. We can watch it together since I can't really look at my face properly right here. Check this out. Lawsuit over $64 billion cash looks beyond the pseudonym to solve the mystery who created the cryptocurrency. I haven't read this yet, by the way, but see what they say, if there's anything. A seemingly run-of-the-mill trial is playing out in Florida. The family of a deceased man is suing his former business partner over the control of the partnership assets. In this case, the assets in question are a cache of over 1 million Bitcoins. That's $64 billion, belonging to the Bitcoin creator. The family of the dead man says that he and his business partner together were Nakamoto, and thus the family is entitled to half the fortune. I don't know if that's just some sort of ploy. I don't know how they can even determine that. You've heard all the claims right here. David Kleiman. Oops. I've heard about this. Kleiman, I don't know how to pronounce it, as well as Craig Wright. They're saying he created Bitcoin and so on. I don't know about that. Like, if you are the creator of it, or did he lose the keys or something? I don't know. Like, why not just move one Bitcoin? Just move one Bitcoin. Move it from one place to another. You're the owner. You created it. Move one Bitcoin. Make it happen. So I don't know. I don't know what happened there. But I would say that if we encounter a time in which, I keep looking up there for the camera, if we encounter a time in which those coins start moving, I think that's going to spook the markets. That's just my take on it. All right. This is a very weird camera angle, and it's just, I have to keep a weird angle on my head. Thoughts on Canadian possible interest rate hike and what would that do to house prices? It would be, okay, so Canadian real estate, Australia, New Zealand, but basically everywhere, but specifically those three places all suffer from the same thing, and that is, real estate never goes down. This is what we're told. I would say initially it makes them actually go up. Why? Because they say, now rates are increasing. Let's hurry up. So then you have sort of a quickening effect. Then they start going up a little bit too high, which is not going to take much. And then they say, not going to buy right now. And then the market slows down big time. That's the way I see it happening. But in terms of rate hikes, I think next year is logical to expect. We don't know what's going to happen in the conditions. Is inflation going to be just as hot as this year? Will it be much worse? That could have an effect. But assuming relatively similar to what we have today, then I personally think it's going to be next year. Minimal, but they'll start doing it. Why? Because every central bank coordinates. Okay, we got to understand this. Every central bank coordinates, and they're all been saying next year, 2022, and they're really should have never have gone in this direction. But anyway, that's where we are. That's where we're at. So. BTC was written in C++, so I'm sure that was written by someone in the US. Interesting note. Just reading your comments, guys. We are 1 hour and 6 minutes into this show. What do we got here? 295 likes. We had 6,000 people. 6,000 people have come in. Did you hit that like button? It's right down there. Don't forget to hit it. It supports the channel, all right? Just click that one button. That helps a lot. 6,000 people have come on through. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming in to spend your time with me today. Have you thought about going live with John Williams? Going live with him? So yeah, like okay, so 1 second here. I think that for the interviews, what I have found generally is like they performed extremely bad. Okay. They just performed extremely bad, like terribly. So much so that the person who's teaching me about the stock market to have more depth from a real professional, I had him on Profit Market YouTube channel. I apologized to him after the views were so bad because I thought he would get a lot more attention and there'd be a lot more interest in what he provided. And after I just apologized to him, I said, I'm sorry, like he spent so much time and has offered his personal time one-on-one to help me out because I said, I'm going to transfer that knowledge to my subscribers. Anyway, point is, it's a lot of effort and timing and so on. And then the views are terrible. So I wonder, I don't care about the views in that sense, but I don't want to then give information that people are not interested in. So that's my dilemma so far. I am planning on doing more interviews. John Williams would possibly be a good one. I think I've only seen him do interviews on Greg Hunter. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But I used to subscribe actually to his report. It's good. I like John Williams. I think he was completely and entirely incorrect about his speculation about hyperinflation in the United States, putting a date on it. But that's okay. Not everybody gets the timing right. I don't think he should have even mentioned a time. That was unnecessary as far as I'm concerned. But he's a smart guy. There's no question. Please educate us all. Start a channel on alternative media and debunk every single crypto, Moonboy, legacy investor, financial analyst. We need you more than ever. Will I step up? I guess you meant will you? There are so many people out there already doing that. So I do my own thing. I keep looking up at this camera. I do my own thing on this platform. Obviously, you're only able to say certain things, but it's so difficult. I'm already finding, I've been doing this 10 years. I find that just at the level that I get into, you have so much difficulty getting through to people that, how do you go to level 10 when you've got everybody on level 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it is. So that's my challenge. That's a challenge I deal with. You say it's a Ponzi. Show the brainwashed people like me methodically and mathematically how it is. So we need to be awakened. Many people with little money have put it all on Bitcoin. Help them. That I wouldn't. I would hope they haven't done that. That would be worrisome. I'm not here to I'm not here to necessarily convince anybody of anything. When you're watching these videos, obviously you have some interest already. You already know about them. If you're coming for the first time, you already know stuff. It's just so difficult to do in the amount of time that you have and what you can. I think overall there's just so much data that I've covered that if you want to know the stuff, it's there, and then that leads you down the rabbit hole. Sam Cooper. I'm not aware of who Sam Cooper is. What are we at? An hour and 11. I'll do this. We'll go for another 10, 15 minutes. Love your show. Been watching for a year. You've always been on point. Thank you very much for the support. I do appreciate that. Thank you. Aside from your goals to reveal the true nature of the financial tyranny that we live in, do you have any personal wealth and or life goals? I would love beach, coconuts, sunshine, and insignificance. Does that make sense? Like insignificance. That would be great. All of that stuff, that would be good. Thank you for the support. Should a Venezuelan type hyperinflation ever come to the US, how are the landlords going to be able to collect rents from their tenants? I don't know. I don't know how we're going to be able to get to this. Is it going to get to a hyperinflation like that? Many say that yes, it's possible. Others say no. The US dollar is the reserve currency, impossible to happen. There's a lot of back and forth. Okay. We don't necessarily know. But what I think is going to happen is that the government's going to enact some sort of UBI type program. This could run through the central bank digital currency system, and that would be funneled directly into people, get them to accept the central bank digital currency. Maybe you got to give your biometrics in order to do that. Who knows what the deal is? But I think that that's kind of the next level. For some people, they don't care. They'll accept it. But the rents, people, like if you look at what happened during 2020, a lot of people, in fact, paid up their rent, depending on what area they were in, paid up their rents just like normal. Nothing really changed. And it has to do with the prosperity level of individuals. If you expect that the United States people will still be wanting to live in that area, even through a hyperinflation, then it might not be an issue. Hyperinflation, different story, but even a lot of inflation, if they're somehow keeping up with it. This is a concern, though. With any real estate, if you're taking on a lot of debt, which most real estate investors do, that's the way that the game works, and you don't have a tenant that can pay, you're in big trouble. You might have to sell that property, but you sell it, who's going to buy it? So that's a big challenge. There's no doubt about it. Specifically with collecting rents, yeah, I don't know. But I think that that's why we need to be diversified into other assets. Not like, hey, I just do real estate. That's it. You know, everything has its benefits, I think. But real estate itself can do good in an inflation. It's possible as long as there's still demand for people to live there. Maybe the sales are down dramatically, but as long as there's kind of a demand for that area for whatever reason, I think it would be acceptable because it's a real asset. In terms of mandates, wouldn't worry about that in terms of affecting jobs and so on. Everybody, the vast majority have submitted. Very few have despite the little bits and pieces that you see here and there, the vast majority of people have gone given in. I make sure to watch this every day. Good stuff. If you were talking about the money GPS, thank you for that. I appreciate all the honesty in the streams. I'd appreciate less in the middle opinion on official videos. Middle opinion. In your opinion, in the world stage environment, crypto, precious metals, in your opinion. There's a lot of opinions here. Okay, hold on. Ryan. The world stage environment, crypto, precious metals, in your opinion. I think opinion, you want opinion, not financial advice, both. The percentage of which you got to determine that on your own. We really don't know what's going to happen, and being able to move money from place to place, or to store value, or to see appreciation in something, or to transact without the knowledge of a third party. We want different things. Okay, we want our money in different places, different assets that each have their own benefits, positives, pros and cons. So I would say you should own everything you can. That's just the way I see it. You're considering leaving Canada. I believe in the flag theory. If you know the flag theory, that's the way I look at it. I'll just say that. Somebody was saying Berkey water filter. Love it. That's this. That's Berkey filtered water. What are we at now? 118 in. My goodness. Yes. Berkey filter. Nay. Berkey. Berkey. There's a lot of different distributors. Look for one and get a discount code. Where am I? I'm always looking up here. Get a discount code. Wherever you're buying it from, look for a discount because there's always one available. I really should put an affiliate link in just because I always mention it. I never do. I don't do really any affiliates or anything like that. I do have a TradingView link down there. Nobody's ever clicked on it. Sam Cooper, author of Willful Blindness. Think you will like it, especially if Canadian. Yeah, never heard of him. The problem is that like I said about interviews, that they perform extremely poorly, and that the way that the algorithm works, you have one bad video, and immediately they stop recommending you less often to others. It's crazy. All right. Talking about Litecoin. That one hadn't gotten attention for a while. What everyone should worry about is the debt market collapse leading to no credit for a certain time period. Yeah, that would be devastating. I agree. I own a few properties in Michigan as trial foreign investments, all a rental, and let local management company to manage. Well, rent collection is messy nowadays, and I let the bullet The bullet flies. Wow. Um, yeah. I don't know about specifically where you purchase, but where the jobs are moving in, no question about it, no question about it, is Florida. 3 times the national average for job growth. It is intense. All at the same time, you're seeing it become a lot like Texas in some ways, where the government is saying the people have to be able to decide this and that with the rules and so on. So a lot of difference with between an area like, let's say, California or New York and Florida. The growth is certainly there, I'll tell you that. Hello, hello, Instagram. Roy is not fond of Bitcoin. I think it is personally, if there's a blackout for any like a period of time, I don't like the assumption here that, so if we go black for years and years, there's no, like, your currency doesn't matter, like it just doesn't matter, anything you have. But you shouldn't think of it like one or the other. Like, I have gold because it's always going to be there and I could trade it and I can, this and that. You should have different assets because each of those assets has its own benefits. But you might have, let's just an example, I'm not suggesting this, 99% of one type of asset and 1% of another asset. Of course, you should have 4 assets. But okay, you have all the assets, but your percentage may vary. I've been asked about different cryptos and so on, whether it's Ripple or whatever. XLM. What are we talking about here? I'm getting so confused with all the different, all these different cryptos and all the tickers. What is this? Stellar. Oh, okay. I hope that's what you're talking about. I don't have any input. I don't have any particular input on Stellar. I've been asked about every different crypto, and I always just say, if you stick to the kind of the top 10 or so, you'll probably do best over the long term. And that changes as time goes on. But generally, it's generally how I would see it. None of these meme coins and things, not that I can't do well. It's like you don't want to get involved in that because the rug can be pulled in a second. No water, but buy a filter. You got to live near water. GPS, commodities and crypto portfolio, or bug out property. Why not both? Work 3 jobs. This is what I tell everybody. If you have the time to watch I was talking to one guy. He was big into gambling on stocks and gambling at the casino. And so, by the way, and a lot of people do both. A lot of people that do the stock gambling, I'm not talking about investors, they actually gamble at the casino too. And so he's telling me that, I just don't have time to exercise. Just don't have time. And the fact remains is that I said, look, do you have time for television? He's like, well, yeah. said you have time. So you got to spend your time doing what you need to do in order to get to your goals. You have to establish those goals. You should write them down at least one time. People love to write their goals down every day or twice a day or whatever to kind of really solidify that. However, you should understand what your goals are. Okay. You should understand those goals. Those goals are going to get you to where you need to be. So you got to know, how am I going to get there? And maybe that's working 3 jobs. Maybe you got to work 3 jobs. I did that for a long time. Not fun, but that's how you get to where you want to be. Your fingers got to turn bloody. Your eyes got to be bloodshot. That's what it takes for a little bit, not forever. You don't want to do that forever and burn out and what have you, but you got to do what you can. Okay. Make it happen. Make it happen. Don't stop. Do not stop. Okay. Tanya, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate that as always. Thank you. Live near a spring. There is a find a spring. Try this. Haven't been here in a while. Yes. Findaspring.com. Findaspring.com. I'm going to try to paste it into the chat. You guys see that? Findaspring.com. There we go. Just came through on YouTube. Findaspring.com. Highly recommend checking it out. You will find springs near you. You'd be surprised. Maybe it's half an hour away, but it's there. And they review them. People review them. And if they have any lab tests or anything, they talk about that. So it's just interesting to see. Okay, I'm almost done. Is your background real or computer wallpaper? That's that's a green screen below. You can see the green screen where it ends. My video cut off. The camera cut off. So we got a half a green screen right now. Sorry to hear about that. Yeah, doesn't work for everybody. Not everybody's got that, right? But what I was suggesting to you is for people out there that are watching television or whatever it is, they're wasting time. They could spend that working. Is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, of course, some people don't have that time. They have other commitments. It's understandable. You could find a way in with the spare time that you do have to create a passive income business. This is why I talk about the Amazon GPS. The Amazon GPS. It's a course that I gave away for free to people to learn how to sell stuff online. Once it's passive, it's there. It's set it and forget it. So that's a different point altogether. Hey, Money GPS, how's this strategy? Buying a home in a value neighborhood with upside potential and house hacking to defeat inflation. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that. There's if you look at house hacking, what is it again? Let me think of that resource. Bigger Pockets. If you're in the US, Bigger Pockets. Definitely check them out. I like the idea. There's no doubt about it. Bigger Pockets. All hail the GPS. I remember cleaning toilets in the middle of the night to pay for hubby's grad school. Got to do what you got to do. It's true. Your free time, if you have free time, should be dispersed in order to get to your goal, whatever that goal is for you. People, for instance, people want to run a marathon or something, and they work every day actively to get to that goal. And absolutely. When you buy metals, does that also have to be reported? Any sales you're going to make, you're supposed to notify the proper authorities where you live on the sales. Depends how much you sell at any given time. Depending, it might be, let's say, less than $10,000. So any sale less than $10,000 will not be notified. If you've made profit on that asset sale, you're supposed to notify them. That's the way. That's what they tell you. Find the Spring, cool website. Yes. Should I sell my home before the market crash and buy when it's low? It's too difficult to time, in my opinion. Too difficult. So I would not necessarily recommend that. Um, if it's your own personal home, I say don't play around with it. Just use that personal home for what it's for, to just keep you, your family, or what have you, live in and secure the home, invest in the home, protect it in every possible way you can. And that's, I'd say that, have some food growing there and so on. There's a spring that's about 2 miles from me. See that? Bet you may not have even known that. I love that resource. Fantastic. Absolutely. Okay, I'm over 130. It's going on so long. Okay. Hi from the prison islands of Australia. I've been doing so much OT at work in the last 18 months. Emergency funding nicely padded for when the stuff hits the fan. Excellent work. Good stuff. While other people may be watching television or something, catching up on Netflix, you've been working and bringing home what you need to. I get that. I love that. That's great. Like-minded community, good people. Thank you. Yes, I agree. Great group in here. Absolutely great group. Keep one property for self-use and invest one more as investment. That would be safer, right? Yeah, you should separate that. Like, don't think of your own home as an investment unless you're doing house hacking, essentially living in the property, having other people living with you, kind of split it up. Maybe it's got 3 units within the property. You rent out the other two, so you can kind of, you know, not have to pay the bills essentially. GPS, aren't Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies accelerating the arrival of the mark of the beast system? Uh, Not necessarily. I don't. The way That's not the way I see it. I think the current. I think there's not much going on. Okay, that's the way I see it. Is a little different than most people. It's that some people are like, it's a Ponzi scheme, or this is the greatest thing ever. It's so fantastic. The way I see it's a lot different. I just think of, there is a lot of potential. It's really could be fantastic, but we're like, it's like not even 1% of where it could be. Like there's not 50 or 80% the way there. I think we're like at 1%. So I think we put too much, like, they're talking about it as if this thing does everything, but the fact remains is that people are buying it and just holding it. All these cryptos. Or they're buying and selling and they're trading on it and so on. Like, I don't know. That's just the way I see it. Here for the truth. I'm about to leave. Borrowing against crypto, I think that's going to be a challenge unless you've got many, many, many millions of dollars worth. But I think that because Michael Saylor had said that it kind of that got propagated through the alternative media. Okay. Buy the dip, Jason says. I'm out of here. Dropping the NFTs. Yeah, I got to get some NFTs. Can you store coffee? Yes, you can. DeFi. Yeah, I know about DeFi. Let's see it being used. Let's see it being used. You can borrow against your crypto using smart contracts and DeFi. All of this stuff is like, yes, you can do it. We're working on it. Yeah, it's happening. Transactions per day. Like, let's use it. Let's get the show on the road. Let's make it happen. Let's do it. Not here's the potential, here's what it can do, and here's the transactions. But when you look at who's making those actual transactions, it's all systems talking to each other. It's not people buying Bitcoin or Ethereum to then use it on their daily basis. Like, that's not happening. People don't use it. Why? Because it's going up in value. So they're just going to say, hey, I'm going to hold. So until we get to a world in which it's used frequently by people actually using, like, instead of using cash, instead of using their Visa, instead of using their debit cards, we are using these cryptocurrencies because the prices have stabilized, then it's going to be awesome. All right. Awesome. Okay, I'm out of here. Okay, everybody, if you haven't seen it already, definitely check out the video that I posted this morning. Robots, talking about China in last night's video. I did a second video on that day, so definitely check them out if you haven't seen them already. And I've got some good stuff coming for tomorrow morning's video. Lots of details, lots of new stuff coming along the way. Thank you all for being here from everywhere around the world. And that's it for me.